I'm not the greatest playing, but it gives you a little idea into it at least, so yeah.
I have a question, but a request. We're in need of a bluegrass piece for six-hand piano.
Okay.
Would you do one for us?
I think the challenge obviously should be for you guys. Because if you're not empowered to do that after today, I've really failed. That's the gift you could give me. I'd be glad to review anything you've said, discuss it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, along those lines then, since they're going to be taking this challenge.
So they're going to do that, right?
Yeah. Do you do anything with the accent? Is it one accent, or do you do something with 2 and 4 there?
In which kind of stuff?
Oh, just what you were just playing. Is it you know? Is it? I thought
Yeah.
I put one.
It kind of depends on things. Like I find I wish I was able to do stride better, because I think I would, I tend to, when in doubt, you do one or the other. And so I think in the minor section I was doing a lot more of the offbeats. It's also kind of, the harmony was simpler, right? It was all just chilling in E minor, so it seemed like harmony wasn't important, and I should just have the rhythm a little bit more, and that offbeats were giving the rhythm. And then in the G major section, it seemed like the harmony changing regularly was more important, so if I couldn't do both, I was doing the bass more, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, have you published that box suite?
No. No. A lot of people have. A lot of people have transcribed it, actually. I shouldn't say a lot, and it's interesting, actually, there was a recent harpsichord competition in Leipzig, and for one of the rounds, all the competitors were required to play 3 movements of a cello suite that they transcribed. They had to make their own transcription. So.
On the spot?
No.
Good.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
So if we're talking about our students who like something on the radio,
Yeah.
would you suggest nothing written down, or do you eventually, ask them to write stuff down? If they're
It depends on the person. I would say there's definitely be a value in writing it down.
okay.
I mean, you can say there's value both ways, but I think probably in your circumstances, writing it down is a little better, because you're kind of forced to make the choice, and then you can talk about it, and then you can a little more concretely say it. I think it's possible to do those things all on the moment by ear, but it's very hard to do that. I think it's hard for them maybe to play it exactly the same, and then it requires a super quick oral skills to hear those kind of textures. So personally, it'd be helpful to me to have it written down, just so it'd be more consistent, and I could, talk about it more, but I wouldn't be afraid, yeah.
So along these lines, we had a speaker maybe a year or 2 ago who had small hands. You're also in favor of untraditional fingering in the same sort of, just make it work for the player, right? You're not opposed to doing, because sometimes people with smaller hands had to be more imaginative with their fingerings.
Right.
And it just sounds like in that vein you would be okay with that, to do different crossing hands or taking things between the hands that you wouldn't normally.
For sure.
It's not on the page.
Right. I think, I don't know. To me, there's kind of 2 things there, because I feel like a lot of my students want to play very comfortable fingerings, or very secure fingerings, which I feel are often very unmusical. And to me, there's a tension kind of between what I would call musical fingering, which groups things that fit the gestures of the music, but often will be harder to play. There'll be more hand movements, and so one has to kind of find where you're comfortable, because I personally find traditional fingerings favor too much legato and too much evenness. And I like fingerings that are a little more gestural based and require the hands to move more. And I try to find a middle ground. So in that kind of case, I would say, yeah, you gotta have a fingering that works for you. But I think you should definitely go for challenges. I think, and yeah, I don't know enough about the world of piano fingering. It's funny because for example, like Logan Skelton and I share a lot of students, and we kind of just have to laugh about how differently we give them totally different things. And you know, Logan is a big fan of kind of definitely comfortable fingerings that work well. And I think that works good for the kind of students he's doing that you know, maybe we need to win competitions and do well. My angle is less about that, and I'd much rather have kind of risky, very musical fingerings that are way harder, but hopefully would give like a different kind of lift and gesture to the music. So people have to find a place they're comfortable. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think one of the things that that person was trying to explain to us is that each student has a different type of hand.
Yeah.
And like even when you're teaching a classical piece like for Elise or something,
Yeah.
that, you know, you have to fit, if the person, you want them to make music, that's the primary goal.
Yeah.
And if they can't do the fingering because of the way their hand, like I had a student with a very short fourth finger,
Yeah.
and she could not do normal things. So
Yeah.
what the person advocated at that time was fixing a fingering so that they could play the music.
Yeah.
Not going with the standard, whatever we learned in pedagogical terms.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about is something a little more subtle and higher advanced, but what I think she was trying to bring apart was making music come to the student so they could play the music they loved.
Yeah.
Whereas otherwise there was a fingering or there was
Right.
a way you could arrange
Right.
it so they
Right.
could do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you could leave out, like a lot of times I leave out, I have a student with a smaller hand,
Yeah.
I leave out the octave.
Right.
I play the bottom,
Yeah.
the top. We don't need that, we need the harmony. But so that you are playing the music.
For sure.
Yeah, so that was the goal,
Yeah,
I
and
think.
sometimes even like those kind of things, like maybe you practice it without the octave
Right.
most of the time, but then you play it with the octave, but if you play octave for 20 minutes, your hand's gonna be shot.
Well, there's that, but also, I have students that, for me right
Yes,
now,
you can't do it.
I have a hand now that no longer can reach an octave.
Right.
So then I have to make adjustments, but I
Yeah.
can still play music.
Exactly, for
Exactly,
sure.
yeah.
And you know, and then you always have students like that want to, like stubborn people want to do their own thing.
But there's that.
Like, you know,
There's
at
always
what-
that.
Yeah, at what point I'm going to make them do this, and at what point am I going to like let them do it? So yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
May I gently steer us back to bluegrass and ask, did you write down your solo version there that you were just exploring?
No.
Oh, come on, Joe, write that down and then text it to us and then we'll do the 6-hand version. We need something to start with.
She needs help.
I need help. We're doing other stuff too.
I'd be happy to send you the melody. How about that?
You can send me the melody.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, you can easily
Send-
get
send
that,
them-
or you can find it in 5 seconds online. I mean, and all these things you
I
can
don't
get
do
as
5
lead
seconds.
sheets. Yeah, they'll just give you chords. The melody is chords.
Okay, what is the name of it again?
The one I did was called Blackberry Blossom.
Blackberry Blossom.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
Okay.
yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Question, so what's your favorite transcription software? In other words, sometimes you know, I've done stuff where we write things out by hand, and I know there's supposed to be a touch screen program. I've used Notepad, it's really kludgy.
Yeah, I guess I just always use Sibelius.
You use Sibelius,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you used any of the touch screen programs?
There was a time I did a lot of work with that, and maybe less now, so, but yeah, I just got really comfortable with Sibelius.
Did you say the name of the French composer Jean?
Yeah, Jean-Henri, so it's Jean space Henri, sometimes Y, sometimes I, and then it's D apostrophe Anglebert. D, yeah, Donglebert. Yeah, I think, yeah. Beatrice should definitely say this. How do you say it exactly, Beatrice? Not Donglebert. Great.
Does your friend who does the transcriptions sell these things?
You know,
or-
he's definitely working on that. I think he's definitely coming out to publish some of them. So, yeah, that would be possible.
Was he in the apprentice student?
Joe?
Yeah.
No, he was a student at Shop.
Does he share them?
I'm pretty sure he would.
Online?
Yeah, I'll give Elena his email address and she can share it with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I just want to say I really appreciate your sort of really down-to-earth sort of you know, just kind of, it's just normal sounding approach. I loved it, so
Good,
thank you.
thank you all.